What's up, guys? This is Coach Grant with First Down Training, and today we're going to be breaking down some routes that all wide receivers need to know. So I hope this video helps you guys out. Hope it could teach you a few new things about route running and take your skills to the next level. But also, fellas, if you are a wide receiver and you would like to train with myself and my staff of coaches this offseason, we are going to be traveling out to 12 more states across the country for 2-day-long QB and wide receiver training camps. Next up on our camp tour, we'll be coming out to Charlotte, North Carolina. That camp is sold out. But then we'll be coming out to Dallas, the DMV, St. Louis, Honolulu, Boston, Cleveland, Austin, Seattle, Newark, Denver, and Los Angeles. So if you guys are local to one of those cities and would like to train with myself and my staff, check out that very first link in the description below. We'd love to have you out to one of our camps. Let's get started with this video. So we're going to be looking at some routes from Marvin Harrison Jr., who is arguably one of the best route runners in college football. So this first move we're going to be talking about here is a hezzy crossover move. So I'm going to play this clip full speed, or I guess you could say in slow-mo, and we're going to talk about how you can do this kind of creative release. So you see how he does this skip into a crossover, and he has this very, very explosive cut to the outside. Now, a lot of young wide receivers always want to know, man, how can I make cuts like that? Like I have the basics down. You know, I know how to throw a crossover. I know how to do a jab. I know how to do like a diamond release, but how do I do these kind of creative, fancier style moves? So this hezzy skip crossover, I call this a skip crossover, is essentially where you take 2 steps with your left leg. Right? So you come out, you're running, and instead of going left and then taking another step with your right foot, just like how you would normally run, you take kind of a double step with your left foot. So like, let's say you were working this in like 3 steps. You would go right, left, left, then right. So it's like you take a hop step in between. You don't step with your right foot. It's almost like a skip. So let's play this thing in a little bit slower motion. So he comes out here, he steps with the left foot, but you see how he jumps, and the next step to hit is his left foot again. That cut right there is what allows you to push and what allows you to throw your hip and have that explosive cut to the outside. That double step. Now, the reason why we take that double step is anytime that you do that, that cut is going to be inside of your frame. One of the things that a lot of wide receivers lack is this ability to like have this explosive cut to the outside. Like they're playing basketball. You hear that phrase all the time, like, oh, you want to play basketball and cross this guy over. But a lot of wide receivers, it almost seems like their hips are stiff, like they can't step this wide. Or if they do step that wide, their foot's way outside their frame and they have no explosion. Now, the reason why this is important to step outside, and you don't want to step quick, you don't want to just do all this useless movement with your upper body, is because that's what's going to get a DB to bite. When a DB is in man coverage and you're trying to do any type of move, he's supposed to be watching where? He's supposed to be watching our hips, right? So when a DB is looking at my hips, I have to actually sell with my hips. I have to be able to throw my hip to the outside, step outside of his frame, because this right here is the only way I'm going to get a disciplined DB to bite. Now, let's go back to that skip move. To get that explosion to the outside, you have to push off of this inside cut. So this is Harrison's left foot, right? So let's say I'm doing a crossover, and my first step of my crossover is with my left, and then I'm doing a hard fake with the right foot. So when I go left-right, that left foot step needs to be inside of my frame because I am trying to push off of the left foot. That left foot hits the ground. I'm trying to be sudden, and I'm trying to push off of that middle arch because that's where that explosion comes from with that cut. Now, what a lot of guys will do is when they do a crossover move, and this is why I like to skip, that left foot will land outside their frame. They'll step too far to the inside, their base gets super wide, and they physically won't be able to push off of this foot. So that skip move, you're not going to do this skip and land outside of your frame. You're going to do this skip move because when you hop on one leg, where do you keep your feet? You keep it inside your frame. So when you do that little hop, that foot's inside your frame and you get more of a push. You can gain more ground. You could actually throw to the outside, which will give you more explosion, but also help you sell. You can bring your hip with the foot. And when you bring your hip with the foot, that's where I sell with my upper body, not just my lower body. So that's a great example of that skip crossover release here from Harrison. Let's play this thing again, full speed one more time. So remember, you take 2 steps. You go left, left, and then right. So it's left, left, right. Throw the crossover, throw the fake, make sure we're pushing off of that second left foot. Great example of that skip crossover move here from Marvin Harrison. So now, next example I want to talk about here is a great job of Harrison using a rocker step at the top of the break with this like angled, I guess you could say like it's more of like, it's kind of like a post corner, I would say, but it's more of like a deep like, I don't know. It's kind of like a deeper out route, maybe like a blaze out, I guess you can say, like a post out, whatever it might be. But this is a great example of a rocker step at the top of the break. So we have a DB who's in zone, obviously, and this like press bail, he's on an island. Maybe it's like a cover 3 scenario where they got the deep thirds of the field taken care of. So when we have to run, and this is again, when you're trying to run routes, you have to understand why a DB plays a certain way. You have to understand how a DB reads certain coverages. You got to understand, or not reads coverages, plays coverages. You got to be able to read coverage as a wide receiver to know how to structure your routes. So when Harrison has to run this deep out route, right, he doesn't just go run to the outside and then break to the out route, right? He gives this little stem to the inside. Now, reason why he does that is to give the quarterback space to throw him open. Anytime that we have zone coverage, right, usually what does this DB have to the inside? He has help, right? So his goal is to funnel every single route to the inside to his help. So he wants Harrison to run the post because that's going to run right into the safety. Even if CJ Stroud is rolling out and trying to come back, that safety still has an opportunity to make that play. So pre-snap, when I see that DB is in that zone coverage look, eyes to the inside, looks like he is going to bail, I know he's not trying to get beat to the outside. So if I have an outside breaking route, I have to threaten his inside shoulder and his inside hip. And a rocker step is a great way to do that. So when he gets up to the top of the break, it's very similar to the crossover step. You step with the outside foot first, you step in the direction you are going. So if you're running an out route, you step with your outside foot first because we were trying to sell like we're running a post, like we're running a dig. So that foot, do you think you want to step outside of your frame or do you want to keep it inside your frame? You want to keep it inside your frame. So he steps hard, steps inside his frame, and you see how he pushes. Look where his hips and shoulders go. Look how far he's stepping. Because when we have a DB in zone, are his eyes watching my hips or are his eyes looking at the quarterback? His eyes are looking at the quarterback, right? So we have to make him feel us to the inside. We have to really sell this thing with my upper body. I have to step hard. I have to be going with some speed, because that's the only way that I'm going to get him to crash when I step hard. So that rocker step is super important, that you take a hard step with the first foot, the foot to the side you are breaking. So if you're running an out route, you would step with your left foot first. It's got to be inside your frame. You push, you step hard with the right foot to sell that inside fake to give you space to accelerate out of this throw. If we were to just come off the ball and just run to his blind spot, if you will, and just run here, this DB would squeeze us to the sideline. You'd run that out route, but we'd have no space. A quarterback needs space. If we're running a corner, an out, a comeback, anything outside breaking, quarterback needs space to lead you. So we need to understand that with my routes. You need to understand why DBs play a certain way and what they have on certain coverage looks. Let's play this thing again, full speed one more time. Great job by Harrison selling this move to the inside and then using that rocker step to sell post and create more space back to the outside. Okay, so now this next clip here is going to be kind of a stutter go. And on a stutter go, one of the main mistakes that wide receivers make is that they will just chatter their hands and chatter their feet. We need to have a violent level change with my hips and a violent deceleration to get a DB to bite. Now this ball is underthrown, so it's incomplete. But if we were to put this thing out on time and put this thing to that back pylon like the ball should have been thrown, this is an easy touchdown because he's got him by a step. And fellas, when you have a talented quarterback like CJ Stroud, you have a talented quarterback. Honestly, like I feel if you're playing quarterback at the Division I level, you're extremely talented. And all we need is a step. All you need as a receiver is a step on that DB. So let's play this full speed. Let's watch what happens here. So he comes off the ball, good speed release inside, gives a little level change, and gets that DB to stop. We got him by a step, but ball was underthrown, right? Now, let's just talk about the route here, because this is where guys go wrong on like stutter goes, even like hitch and goes, even when they run like a comeback and go. Any type of double move, guys do not sell the first move enough. They don't make it look the same because they're so anxious to get up into the vertical portion of the route. So you see when Harrison comes off the ball here, I want you to watch when he drops. You see how he has that level change. He actually sits his butt down. He's sitting in a chair for a second because that is what coils that DB and forces him to react. No DB wants to get his ankles broken, right? No DB wants to have this receiver run a hitch route. He goes shooting by and then we catch that ball easily. And now, obviously, a DB's eyes when it's man are supposed to be where? supposed to be watching my hips. So a lot of wide receivers, what they'll do on like a stop and go is they'll run up and they just give a little chatter their feet and they chatter their hands. They just go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then they accelerate. There's no level change. There's hardly a speed change, and that's not going to make a reaction out of the DB. That's not going to force the DB to react. But when I get to that position where I run this little stop and I actually decelerate, I sit my butt down and it's violent. That quick drop alerts the DB, and that forces a reaction out of him because he has to honor that. And that is what can get me a step of separation. And if that ball's on time, that's an easy touchdown. So fellas, you're running a hitch and go, you're running a stop and go, a stutter go. I need that level change. Hey, let's sit my butt down like I'm sitting in a chair, and let's be violent about it. Because when you're violent, that's how you decelerate quicker. I don't need a slow sink of your hips because that's just going to slow. That's just slow. You're not going to have any speed out of the break. But when I have a violent drop on my hips and I sit my butt down, it's almost like I got a string attached to my chin and I'm pulling that string down. That alerts the DB and we can win. So let's play this again, full speed one more time. This is a great route here by Marvin Harrison. I think if that ball's thrown on time or put just a little bit more in front of him, that's an easy touchdown. Just can't underthrow that pass, but that's a great overall route. All right, fellas, really want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. If you guys have any questions at all, don't hesitate to leave those in the comment section below. Always appreciate the feedback. It's always great to hear from you guys. And again, fellas, we are coming out to 12 more states this offseason for 2-day-long QB and wide receiver training camp. So if you guys want some more information on that, how you guys can sign up, check out that very first link in the description below. We'd love to have you there. I'll see you guys next time.